What's up guys, so you just bought your new Miyoo Mini Plus or you're on the fence about getting one. Well, here's an in-depth review on the device to get you up to speed on all of the features, and if you haven't already bought this, maybe this will be that final push over the fence to finally grab one. Let's get started. So the Miyoo Mini has a 3.5-inch screen size. It's 640 by 480 resolution, it has an IPS screen, and a 4:3 aspect ratio. Now when you first get your Miyoo Mini in the mail, it's going to come with an SD card that looks like this. Whatever you do, do not use this card. There's been many people reporting that these cards end up failing, and it would be a bummer if you made a lot of progress in a game only to find the card no longer works. So what I suggest is getting one of these. I personally use this SanDisk. I have a 64GB and a 128GB, which is more than enough for all my retro gaming needs. Now as for the battery, this is a 50% upgrade from the Miyoo Mini original. It has a 3000 mAh battery, and I see probably around 4 to 5 hours of game time. I know they say 5 to 6, some people claiming 7, but no, I usually get around 4 hours, 5 hours if I'm playing less demanding titles. Now inside the Miyoo Mini Plus is an ARM processor. It has a Cortex A7 dual-core chip, which means you're going to be able to play PlayStation games, DS games, and everything underneath that. Now, as for the ergonomics, the buttons feel phenomenal. The D-pad is very responsive, the A, B, X, Y buttons are clicky, not squishy, and down here you have the select and start button, and in the middle you have the home button. On the left-hand side, we have the volume rocker, plus on top, minus on bottom. And on the back, we have the R button, the R2 button, the L2 button, and the L button. And on the bottom, we have a 3.5mm headphone jack, the SD card slot, and the USB-C port. On top, we have the power button, and here's the power indicator light. And lastly, when you plug in your Miyoo Mini to charge, you should see a green and red light, and it might turn just red. Don't worry, it's still charging. And most importantly, make sure you're using the USB cable that came with the device. If you're using a different brand that happens to be USB-C to USB-C, you might fry your device. So I highly recommend sticking with the one you got just to be safe. So now with all the basics out of the way, you might be wondering, where can I purchase one? Well, if you go online and you search, you might see AliExpress selling theirs for $53.08. The official Miyoo Mini store, they're selling theirs for $79. You have Keep Retro, which sells theirs between $50 to $60. I highly recommend them because they're a little bit more trustworthy in my opinion. And most importantly, keep in mind what color you want. And the reason being is if you end up wanting to mod your Miyoo Mini device in the future, you're kind of stuck with the color you have, and some of the mods don't go quite well with certain colors. So keep in mind, if you have a feeling you're going to end up modding your device, pick the color accordingly. Alright, with all that crap out of the way, finally we can get into the Miyoo Mini. So here we are at the home screen. You have the recents, favorites, games, apps, and settings. Now your home screen might look a little bit different than mine. That's just because I have a custom theme. And if you ever want to change your theme, it's pretty simple to do. All you have to do is go to the apps, go to the theme category. You'll have all your themes right over here. So you can just change it to whatever you want. And there are a lot of themes online. It's pretty easy to do. Now over here we have, well, let's go back to the main menu. Let me not get ahead of myself. All right, so we had the recents, favorites, games, apps, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so in recents, you will have all of the recent games you've played. Okay, now if you have a game or something like this here and you don't like how it looks, you just want to get rid of it, hit the Y button and click Clean Recent, Remove App. And there you go, it's gone. Now something that I like to do, and I have a feeling many of us gamers out there probably face the same issue. We have choice paralysis. There's just way too many options nowadays. You know, you have so many things vying for your attention, and when you do have something like Netflix or this, you're gonna have thousands and thousands of options, and I find myself sometimes I just start searching through things and that exhausts me for some reason, and I end up not wanting to play anything. So to bypass this, I use the favorite section, and I go through maybe 10 or 15 games, and even that's a lot, and I favorite them, and let me show you how to do that. Let's just go to a Game Boy Advance game. Let me find one I actually want to play. Let's say it's Virtua Tennis. Once again, we click the, I think it's select. Yep, and then you click add to favorites, and there you go. You will have that game in your library. Where is it? Come on. Yeah, I think I have too many games on here. I gotta, yeah, here we go. And let's say you change your mind and you no longer want that game. You can just click the select button and click remove from list. It'll give you a warning saying it's not going to delete it, and then it disappears. So there we go. So next up we have the games folder. This is pretty self-explanatory. You're just going to have all your different systems, and again, yours might not look exactly like this, and I'll show you how to change that. So if you don't see everything that you want, what we're going to do is we're going to go to apps, and we're going to go to PackageManager. And inside PackageManager, we have all the systems we are able to emulate. So for instance, the new Nintendo DS Drastic, which is new for this update, you can just go ahead and click A to turn it on, and when you're done and you want these installed or you've made your choices, just go ahead and press start. And by doing so, it's going to say no changes for me, but I'm going to go ahead and press A or start to exit. And after you check the ones you want, those systems will now appear. All right, next we have the apps. Inside here, we have the activity tracker. This is going to track all of your activity for the games that you play. So for instance, you can see here I have Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, a total of 4 hours and 52 minutes, and so on and so forth. Next we have themes, which we already went over. Then we have tweaks. So inside tweaks, there's a lot of advanced settings. I'll go through these quickly, but if you're a beginner, I don't think you really need many of these. I wouldn't touch them, but I'm going to go through these just so you know what they are. So system, startup, date and time is where you can change the date and time. You have the low battery warning, which I have mine set to whenever it reaches 10%. And you have the low battery save and exit, which when it reaches 4%, it will save and close the device. That way I don't lose my progress. And then you have your vibration intensity. I like to set mine on high. Network is self-explanatory. Button shortcuts. So menu single press vibration I have on. In-game menu button. These are what I have it set to. You can change it by pressing left or right, but I just like to keep it on default. You have your main UI menu button, which is a single press, long press, double press, and what this means is the middle button right here, when you hold it, you will get the long press, which will take you to the context menu. A single press will take you to the game switcher, and a double press will resume the game. Next, we have just a few more options. I'm keeping all of mine on default. Appearance, show recents, which is going to show all of your recent games. Show expert mode, I'm not an expert, so definitely not touching that. Then we have OSD bar size, I keep mine at 4 pixels. Blue light filter, which if you're playing at night, you might want to use this. I never do, because I don't sleep anyways. And then I have theme overrides. Now I actually use theme overrides because I wanted to customize how my battery percentage icon looked. So in here, if you click on it again, you can change the font size. So for instance, if we go up, you can see the battery icon getting bigger or smaller. Then you have text alignment. I don't mess with any of that stuff, but I just like how that looks. So just to go over this really quickly, theme overrides means whatever theme you pick, it will override the theme according to what you choose. So that's kind of what that means. Icon packs, I don't use it. Now we have advanced. You can swap the triggers, which are the L and L2 buttons or the R and R2 buttons. So if you're having a hard time reaching those buttons, you can change that so R can become R2. So if a game wants you to press R, instead of pressing R, you'll press R2, which will trigger the R. I hope that makes sense and it's not too confusing. Fast forward rate, I leave on unlimited. And yeah, I don't touch many of these. Tools, I do not mess with this either, but what it says is what it does. It's pretty self-explanatory. All right, so that's for tweaks. Now, Search, you can search for any game on your library. So if you have thousands of games like I do, you'll be able to search for it right here. We're gonna go back. Then you have RetroArch Advanced Emulator Settings. Now, if we go into here, this is gonna be your main menu for RetroArch. We can go over this, but I think it would be better if we go over it in-game. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna show you what I do. So to get out of this, you're gonna have to quit RetroArch. And then PackageManager, we went over that. Quick guide, handy. Clock, set your time. Random game, does what it says. Game switcher, switches games. Quickly switches games. If I click on that, it's gonna open it, obviously. So here is your game switcher. So these are all the other games that I played previously, and they will be saved here for quick access, but you don't necessarily need to go into this setting to get to that. Now, Onion and OTA update, very important that you update your system. You have to be on Wi-Fi, and the reason is because of that DS Drastic emulator. It came with the new update, and the easiest way for me was to just connect to Wi-Fi, click on that, and I let it do its thing. There are other tutorials online if you're a little bit worried about doing this that will show you exactly the step-by-step process on how to update this Miyoo Mini. File Explorer, video player, I don't touch any of those. All right, so settings, brightness, shut down Wi-Fi, that's how you connect to Wi-Fi. Display, this is where all your settings are. If you want to tweak the luminance, hue, saturation, contrast, I leave it on stock. Okay, and then menu sound, I keep mine on 3 because I do want to hear it, but I don't want it to be overbearing. Then you have a sleep timer, so if you're not touching your device, how long will it take before it goes to sleep? I put 5 minutes. And that is pretty much the menu. I'm trying to go as quickly as possible. Let me know if I'm going too fast. Maybe I'll slow down in the future, but I feel like that's the boring stuff. Let's get into a game. So we're gonna go ahead, see, now I have all this stuff as recent, so I'm gonna go ahead and clear these. So I'm removing all of these apps, so I just have my games. Let's go ahead and play Super Mario. This is the, what is this one? This is the Golden Ring, Golden something, I forgot. Okay, so now that we're in a game, I'm gonna go ahead and turn my volume down. Let me show you some of the quick tips that I think you should know. So the first one is, how do you save? Well, if you want to save, you press and hold the middle button, and then you press the R2 button. So let me go ahead and show you how that's done. So I press and hold R2, and that's saved. All right, now let's say I'm playing the game and I make a mistake and I want to go back. Well, first press the home button and then L2, and it takes me right back to where I had previously saved. This is super handy. I mean, I wish the original Game Boy had this. It would have made beating games so much easier, but this is why the Miyoo Mini is so awesome. So that's how you save and load. I guess the next quick tip would be, how do you access the RetroArch menu? I press and held the middle button and held select, or click select. You're gonna get used to this. There's a lot of, like, that middle button's basically the activator, and then the subsequent buttons basically does something different. So save, and then load, and now we have hold the middle button, click select, takes you to the quick menu. And you can see there's resume, restart, close content, save states, core options, controls, yada, yada, yada. Now the ones that I use quite often is if I accidentally made a save state overriding the one that I didn't want, just go in here, click on save state, click on the state slot, and then you can go back through all of your save states to find the one that you wanted to load. So let's say I accidentally made a save state, I didn't mean to press it, but I want to go back to the other one. I just go up, I click on A to activate, and I say load state, and there we go. All right, so another thing is the on-screen overlay. If I go into on-screen overlay, I'm gonna come down here to overlay preset. I have the GBP_3X grid. So once I have that picked and I go back to get out of this quick menu, you can hold the middle button and press select again. It takes you back to the game. You can see now I have this little design. Your screen might not look like this after you added the overlay. It might be off a little bit, and there's a quick way to fix that. Is if you hold the middle button, go back into the menu, go to your settings, go to your video, go to video filter and find the correct offset. For me, I find the Game Boy offset filter to work for most of the other filters that I have. So let's go ahead and go back, and it usually works. Also, another quick tip is if you hold the middle button and click on start, that's gonna shuffle through all of the aspect ratios. So I'm gonna keep mine on original. And the next thing, let's go back to this menu, pressing B to go back. Once you do that, make sure you go to your quick menu, go to overrides, and then save core overrides. I usually just save the content directory overrides and save game overrides just to be safe, but I think it's just save core overrides. I could be mistaken, so play around with it. That way, next time you open up the game, this will all be there. So I'm gonna run through the buttons one more time. Clicking on the home button and pressing R, the R button, will fast forward the game. You do the same thing to stop fast forwarding. You click and hold the middle button and the R2 button to save. You click on the middle button and hold, and click on the L2 button to load. If you hold down the home button and press X, that will bring up your FPS. If you click and hold the home button and press start, that will change the aspect ratio. Alright, this video is getting really freaking long. Alright, I hope that covers everything. If you have any other questions, just leave a comment in the description and I'll try to answer your question. However, you know, I'm pretty new at this as well. This is what I've figured out thus far. It's an amazing device. I highly, highly, highly recommend you purchase one. For me, I like this over Anbernic devices because of Onion OS. I just love Onion OS. I had an Anbernic device. I wasn't crazy about the Garlic OS. For me, Onion OS is just so much cleaner, and for me, it's just, I guess, I just prefer it. I know Anbernic came out with the SP clamshell design, which, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of tempted on buying that. But, who knows, Miyoo Mini Flip could be around the corner. And if that has the Onion OS paired with it and the thumbsticks, I'm gonna go with that one. So I'm kind of waiting right now. Yeah, so this thing is just amazing. Yeah, in closing, this is just such an amazing device. We have so many different games to play. It's just absolutely insane that I have a PlayStation in my pocket. Like, I can play Silent Hill whenever I want. It's really mind-blowing, especially for people who grew up when I grew up. You know, I was growing up during the N64 days, and I remember having a PlayStation at your house was a pretty big thing back then. So just to be able to find all these ROMs and have this many games in the palm of your hand is absolutely crazy. And yeah, I don't think younger kids understand how insane this is. Like, if I went back in time and bursted into my room when I was playing, you know, N64 or Dreamcast, I would have been like, yo, check this out. Oh, you're playing Dreamcast or PlayStation? Well, I got all of those systems in one little device. My mind would have been blown. So I hope this helps. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, as this is a brand new channel. I will be uploading more things in the future. All right, well, I hope you had a good time. Cheers. I'm gonna go play some games. All right, later.